All right, hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in Readers Magnet's featured author interview. My name is Leah, and I will be your host for today. And with me is two of the Readers Magnet's featured author, and we are very honored and happy to have this discussion with them, to know them as an author, what this book is all about, and of course, what inspired them to write this story. So, yes, everyone, let's all welcome Miss Renee Copeland and Roxanne Jacobs, author of the book Ask the Animals. All right. Hello, Renee and Roxanne. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Wow, that's good to hear. Okay, so Renee and Roxanne, yes, this is the moment that we've been waiting for because this is the time that we'll get the chance to know more information about your book. But before we do that, can you maybe give us a little bit introduction about who you are? Who Renee Copeland, who Roxanne Jacobs is. So, yep, a little bit of introduction. Go ahead.
Okay. Smile. Oh. Oh, we're supposed to talk now?
Yes.
Yes, can you tell us a bit information about yourself?
Well,
yes, before we tackle about your book. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
First time I remember ever wanting to do something when I grew up. I must have been really young because I wanted to be an elevator operator.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. That's cute. Okay, and what about Roxanne?
I wanted to be a bookkeeper. I didn't want to go into higher math, but I just loved playing around with numbers in different ways, puzzles and everything.
Wow, that is so cute. That is so nice of you, Roxanne. So, okay. So, yes, that's a bit of information about who they are as an author. And yes, this is now the time to tackle more information about your book. And also, Renee and Roxanne, do you have your book with you right now? Will you please show it to our viewers?
Whoop.
All right. Can you try to raise it on the camera? All right, there you have it, guys. That's the book of Roxanne and Renee. Thank you so much. Okay, so Renee and Roxanne, I wanted to start with the title, Ask the Animals. Can you tell us what this is all about and when did it started?
Well, it started, that's Roxanne's story. You were in a Bible study.
Yes, I was in a Bible study and studying the book of Jonah. And
they were talking about
Jonah's decision to run away and not obey God. So he got on a ship and went sailing off because he was disobeying God. And then God had the storm, and the sailors were afraid they were going to sink and drown and everything. And Jonah fessed up and said, I disobeyed God. And so I'm the problem. Just throw me overboard. He wanted to die rather than being obedient, which seemed odd. So they threw him overboard just as a whale went by and opened his mouth for air and swallowed Jonah. And so
your Bible study was talking about how everybody was affected by their interactions with Jonah. And so people were talking about the guys on the ship, and when he finally got to his destination, how were those people affected?
Wow, that is so interesting. So this story is about the girl named Jonah who disobeyed God.
No. Jonah was a prophet of God.
Jonah was a prophet. Okay.
Yes.
But he disobeyed, and so he was causing problems for this whole shipload of people. And when he admitted, well, all these storms, I am running away from God, just throw me overboard. So they did, and then a whale came and happened to swallow him, and so he was several days in the belly of the whale, and he
The belly of the
reloaded,
whale.
and then the whale eventually got near shore and
Mhm.
um,
Barf
spit
him
him
in.
out, barfed, and,
Right.
Wow, that is
and
so interesting.
so
That is
he
so cute.
obeyed after that, and so that was a story
Mhm.
um, that I wrote from the whale's
Mhm.
point of view. I swallowed Jonah. And so it was just a short story.
That was
Right.
so interesting to have that
Yes.
view that now we've through our whole lives been careful to not just instinctively to not be
Mhm.
competing with each other.
Mhm.
Um, but I did have to write a story from the animal's point of view, story from the Bible, and so I wrote Minnie Moo Cow's uh, view of Noah building the ark. And that
Mhm.
was a much
Right.
longer story, and it took me longer, a lot longer.
So that was the start of our telling biblical stories from the
Mhm.
animal's point of view.
Wow, that is so nice. That is so interesting, Renee and Roxanne. The way I see the book, or the way that I like about you guys creating this book, because I believe that there's a lot of learning in it, on
Mhm.
how to get that right manners towards interaction, towards the attitude that you need to have when it comes to meeting people, especially when disobeying God. You really need to have that right attitude in order for you to be on that good position in life. Wow. And I like that. Now, when did you first realize that you wanted to be writers? How did it started? Jotting down notes. What's the inspiration behind it? Especially with Roxanne, right? Because she's
Well,
the one who is really into writing.
we were both enjoying writing,
Mm-hmm.
and so we've written short stories. I think mm,
Since high
more
school.
purposely in high
Mm-hmm.
school.
Wow.
We just kind of, collected little things and haven't
Mm-hmm.
done much with them except, oh, here, Renee, this is
Wow.
the latest one I came up with.
Right. Starting from at that very young age. And if I
Mhm.
may ask, both of you are really into writing. Which of you is a better writer?
She is.
Both of you guys. Both of you guys. And I can tell that because, from the story itself, this is really truly inspirational. All right. Now, with the whole process of writing this story, are there any key challenges that you have faced? What is the most difficult part, about writing a short story like this?
Finding the time.
Mm-hmm.
And well, years ago, I wrote a Christian sci-fi story, but then
Mm-hmm.
I I just ran dry and didn't know what to do. And I set it aside. And 5 years later, I read it over. And then
Mm-hmm.
the second half just flowed. So it's, for me, it's like um, um, inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
and the faucet is turned off or the faucet is turned on. And that's how all of these short stories in Ask the Animals have been written. First, we'd pick a animal, we'd kind of wonder, well, what did that animal think? And we just, and there's a
Wow. And
story.
with that, right, using the animals, how did you come to write Ask the Animals, with such an unusual characters? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, that's exactly what it was. We
Mm-hmm.
first thought of it with, I,
Well, in a Bible study, we were studying the short books, and um, one of them was uh, what?
Go ahead.
We
answered
talking
that question.
about the story of Jonah and saying
Mhm.
how does his decision affect those around him? You know, those on the ship and everything else.
Right.
And
Mhm.
one person said, "Well, it gave the whale a 3-day bellyache," and so
Mhm.
I just picked up that and thinking of it from the animal's point of view.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so I wrote, that was the first one. I swallowed Jonah. And then uh, Renee read
Mhm.
that and she just launched into a bunch of different stories from the animal's point of view.
Wow. So this story is actually, oh, the whole inspiration was also coming from the first book, I Swallowed Jonah. And then you
Mhm.
come up with this other book, Ask the Animals, animals from the animal's point of view. Wow, that's interesting. And you know what, Renee and Roxanne, despite of all the, let's say key challenges, the time that you need to have, completing this whole story. May I ask if what is your favorite part of being writer of about this book, about this whole story, this whole journey? What are your favorite parts?
Um, I really like um, editing and tinkering with it and polishing things up, trying to
Mm-hmm.
improve them. You know, like the first draft is the the framework, and then
Mm-hmm.
making a complete thing and reviewing it, making it as best as I can do.
Mhm.
Right. What about Renee?
Well, I've felt like my inspiration, I wonder about with this situation, how do we get a story? What story would a dog tell, or something like that? And
That's right.
so that um, without my faith in
Mm-hmm.
Jesus and God, um, they would just be stories, just
Mm-hmm.
be. And but I believe that God wanted these stories written and
Mm-hmm.
helped a lot, and
Yes.
that makes a lot of fun.
Exactly, Renee. Because I believe that, it's not just about reaching your goal as an author, sharing this story, but it's also sharing the experience that you've had with God and also from the animal's point of view. I like that. I like that whole idea. Now, what was the impact of writing this book or this story from you and your family members? What was the impact of writing this whole book?
The impact. I don't know. People like it. We felt that we couldn't just keep it to ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed the stories so much,
Needs to be
and
shared.
rereading them, and
Mm-hmm.
that we just felt it needed to be shared. And
Mhm.
so we ended up self-publishing, and the people that have seen this book and read it or dipped into it have
Mhm.
liked it. A lot of
Right.
adults, although it's got illustrations for every story. Every animal has some kind of picture in there,
Wow,
and
that's cute.
and
Uh-huh.
um, and you can see with this picture, the animals
Yeah.
are telling the story. The shepherd
Mhm.
is asleep, leaning against one of those sheep.
Right, having a campfire, sharing their experiences, sharing the whole story, their journey, sharing some thoughts. Wow, I like that. So it's like a complete set of having this good relationship between
Mhm.
people. Wow, that is awesome, Renee. Now, that being said, Renee, I also wanted to ask, what do you think makes a good story? This is the question for both of you guys.
Oh, we answered. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it should be something that the readers can relate to. Like if there was a
Mm.
story written about people in a print shop and going on, I couldn't really relate to that. So,
That's okay, Roxanne. Mm-hmm.
um,
And you know what? You mentioned that you wanted to create a whole story that makes it so good when people can relate to. And I think that this is actually the kind of book that everybody should have, especially with the young ones, right? Full of inspiration, good learning, advocating for a specific cause and agenda, on how to have that right attitude. Wow, I like that. And that being said, Renee and Roxanne, can you also maybe share us a specific line? What's your favorite part in the book? Maybe read some lines on the book.
We have one of the shorter stories that we would like to
Mhm.
read to
Okay,
you
sure.
here,
All
and
right.
it is
Yes, we'd love
from
to hear that.
it is from the book of Second Kings, the second
Hmm.
chapter.
Okay, we'd love to hear that.
You're reading the yellows.
okay. The Bear Facts, a story of two bears, written by Teddy and Theo.
It happened like this. We were hungry and going through the woods close to that town called Bethel, looking for critters when we first saw them.
I saw them first. You were knee deep in those berry bushes.
Oh, yes. Anyway, there was a group of people, must have been young ones. They were very noisy, and of course, meant that any critters that were around hid or went away.
Bad for us, but we just stayed back, hoping they'd go away. They kept pushing each other and what they called laughing and acting almost like the cubs when they ate those nasty fermented berries.
Finally, that noisy bunch started drifting slowly back toward town.
But not for long. I heard one of them say loudly, "Oh, um,
We turned the page.
all right.
All
Look
right,
who's
that's okay.
coming this
No problem.
way. Look who's coming that way. It's the prophet who's been around ever since Elijah left."
They started shoving each other and shouting like an unruly mob planning mischief. That new prophet looks nothing like Elijah, and older, not as strong, and he is all alone.
They threw rocks at him and even called him a man of God, bald head. We were shocked at that terrible insult.
We watched Elisha stop and look right down at them and call down a curse on them in the name of the Almighty. Brrr. We bounded out of the woods and attacked those bad boys and chased them away.
But Elisha stood there, not hurt. He thanked the Lord Almighty and then headed for the road away from town.
What a scene! We went back into the woods and climbed a tree to watch. What a scene! Townspeople cautiously came out to see what the growling and screaming was about and help the ones who still lived.
Someone said that 42 youths were mauled. Well, that's what they get for mocking the Lord's representative.
And no, we didn't eat any of them. Ta-da!
Wow, thank you so much for that wonderful please, Renee and Roxanne. All right, so yes, thank you so much as well for also sharing this wonderful story. Now, everyone who's watching, I'd like to also invite you that Renee's and Roxanne's book will be also joining during the LA Times Festival of Books, and that would be happening on April 22nd to the 23rd, and that would be in University of Southern California, USA campus. So everyone, this is going to be your chance to know them more as an author and what exactly this book is all about. Again, thank you so much for gracing with us today, Renee and Roxanne, and of course for also choosing Reader's Magnet to be part of this journey. So yes, everyone, Miss Renee Copeland and Roxanne Jacobs, author of the book Ask the Animals. Their book is available in Amazon.com and of course Barnes and Noble as well. And this is going to be your chance to know them more as an author. And please do also follow them on all the social media platform. Again, thank you so much, Renee and Roxanne. And as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you so much. You guys did a great job.
Thank you, Leah.
Bye
Thank
now. Thank
you.
you.
Bye.